When you picture a special forces raid on a fortress, what comes to mind? You're probably thinking explosions, a huge firefight, right? A long, brutal battle. Well, what if the most unbelievable part of a mission wasn't the violence, but the complete and total lack of it? This is one of those stories, an operation that just completely flipped the script. That one line, that's the whole mystery right there. Think about it. Elite soldiers, they don't just walk in. That's not what they do. They breach, they fight, they conquer. So this one little phrase tells us that everything we assumed about this mission was probably wrong from the very start. And to really get how weird this all is, you have to picture the target. This wasn't just some building, it was a fortress. I mean, we're talking state-of-the-art surveillance, overlapping fields of fire, a whole legion of elite bodyguards. An assault on a place like this is supposed to be a meat grinder. It's supposed to be costly, bloody, and incredibly loud. Yeah, the standard playbook is pretty simple. Overwhelming force. You bring the thunder, you blow the doors off their hinges, and you fight for every single inch of ground. That's just the brutal math of a siege, and that is exactly what everyone was expecting. But that's not what happened. Instead of total chaos, there was silence. Just an impossible, unnerving quiet. You know, the kind of quiet that tells you something else is going on, a completely different story. The strike team went in, and the storm of battle that everyone was bracing for, it just never showed up. So this is the first, most glaring piece of the puzzle. Not a single shot was fired on entry. Just think about that for a second. In a facility absolutely bristling with armed guards, the most basic tool of a firefight wasn't even used. And, no gunfire, that means no fight. The very people whose only job was to protect this place, they just stood aside. They didn't engage. They didn't fight back. They didn't even try to sound an alarm. Nothing. Which, of course, leads to the absolute critical question. If they didn't fight their way in, then how in the world did they breach one of the most secure locations on the planet? Turns out, the answer wasn't about firepower at all. It was about psychology. And here it is. The whole operation wasn't a frontal assault. It was a perfectly, flawlessly executed inside job. The greatest weapon they had wasn't a rifle. It was a whisper. The fortress wasn't brought down from the outside. It crumbled from within. You gotta wonder, was it money, a change of heart, or was it just raw, calculated fear? See, they didn't need to storm the gates because the gates were already open for them. The path was cleared. The welcome mat was practically rolled out. The Special Forces operators, they just walked right in. It was a systematic takedown of security, done by the very people sworn to uphold it. First, the eyes of the compound, the cameras, they went blind. Next, the alarms, the ears of the place, they fell silent. And then, in the final, most unbelievable act of betrayal, the leader's own personal guards, they just stepped aside. So, with the fortress completely compromised from the inside, the whole dynamic of the mission just changed on a dime. It wasn't a siege anymore. It became a sprint, a race against the clock to get to the final objective. 12 minutes. That's all it took. From the moment they stepped foot inside to the second the target was secure, the entire thing was over in less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee. And that incredible speed, it was only possible because the betrayal had already done all the heavy lifting. And that leaves us with this one last thought, doesn't it? This whole story, it isn't just about a raid. It's a really stark reminder that true power isn't about walls or weapons or money. It's about loyalty. And when that loyalty vanishes, even the most formidable fortress in the world can fall in just 12 minutes.